All right. Good evening, LinkedIn. Dave Wilson, the Ring and Hire Show. Hey, listen, it's Sunday night and everybody's excited to go back to work. Today, I got a special guest, Mike Figueroa of JCS branch for staffing. I'm sorry, for staffing agency over in Allentown. He's the branch manager. How you doing, Mike?
I'm good, David. How you doing tonight?
I'm looking forward to discussion. So you're gonna let all this audience know what a staffing company does.
It's gonna be
So
a good one.
no pressure, no
Yeah,
pressure.
it's none pressure taken. I'm
Right.
ready.
All right. We'll be right back after this video. Come on, man. What do you think for $35 of making that?
No, I love that video. That was awesome, David. I
But
I honestly felt like it was a Game of Thrones intro. It had that type of vibe going on.
you know what the thing about it is? It's our whole life within staffing. That's your
Yes,
whole
sir.
life. Every
Yes, sir.
single word hits you there. Mike, why don't you
Relationship.
take this time to introduce yourself? What do you do? And then I got a lot of questions for you.
100%. So, I mean, as the title can say, my name is Mike Figueroa. I am a branch manager for our Allentown and Slatington offices for Job Connection Services. Now, we have offices in 3 states:
Nice.
New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and we recently opened a office in Arizona. Mesa, Arizona, actually, is our newest office.
Wow,
So
you're going out there far.
trying to expand, David. You have to. You have to.
Yeah.
But what I essentially do is, I help to not only connect people, not only to find jobs for the correct job, but to honestly just help lift
Yeah.
their life up in a way. And a lot of people that come to the office are looking for a change, just looking for something. And
Mm,
me, my recruiters, we do a very good job of just trying to put them in the best position possible to help
right.
find a job, as well as you know looking out for our clientele, what they're looking for, and making sure the match fits on both sides. Because in this industry, as you know,
Yeah.
David, we're looking for longevity, consistency,
Yep.
and you want the match to be there, and you're doing
It
injustice
is.
if it's not.
That is. And when I met you, when we were talking, where we met at a company, what I liked about you, Mike, was when you came in. I mean, a lot of people get the sales pitch with staffing companies. I get it because I
Yeah,
was in staffing and we've known each other for a while. And I liked how you didn't. There was no pressure, no pressure. You were there just talk about the company, what you can do. And a lot of companies will say, well, we get them a lot, to come over. But what I liked about you is you weren't even pushy. Not even there was nothing there. I mean, you just really talked. We had a great conversation.
I mean, when we're out, it's not just, we're not looking to sell a service. And I know
Right.
there's a connotation to sales. Everybody knows it. I mean, I've worked in high ticket sales at ADP. I've worked for Dun and Bradstreet. So getting
Oh
into
wow.
the
Okay.
staffing world, sales, it's not. I've learned that sales is about finding a service that's going to help you and help I at the same time. And
Right.
that's
I
what
like that.
staffing is helping people find a job who need a job, and finding clientele, different, whether it's logistics, whether it's construction companies, whether
Right.
it's offices, for professional staffing. They're looking for people. And I see it all the time, now hiring, now hiring. There are a lot of companies that are looking, and that's, the objective at the end of the day. So I have when you're going out, it's not just looking to sell my services. I'm more so just
Right.
looking to brand out our network. This is who I am. This is what we can do. And ultimately, every company has the right to make their own decision, who they're going to utilize, what makes sense for them. But just try to be an option. That's all you can do.
That's all you can do. And like I said, there's a couple different of staffing options I want to go over with you, and I know you do them all. We talk about direct hires, and for those don't understand what that is, you want to just touch on direct
Yeah,
hires, what
yeah.
that is, and then I'm gonna chime in as well.
So, in the staffing world, direct hires more so are a company may be looking out for a specific position,
Yeah.
and in a lot of instances a direct hire is going to be for a higher level position, maybe
Right.
management, whether it's a logistics coordinator, warehouse dispatcher, somebody that might have a lot of experience, and a company may utilize a staffing company not just because they're known for getting people work, but it's more so for the networking brand. When
Right.
dealing, and I've learned a lot in this industry.
Yeah.
You meet a lot of different people, you meet a lot of different companies and different industries. So it's a more so about the word of mouth aspect and the networking aspect. There might be a good possibility for a staffing company to know somebody that knows somebody that has a good resume, has good experience, might be looking for something, and just being able to connect the dots. And, that's what the main objective is always is
Right.
staffing companies here to help connect the dots between both parties. And if we can make that happen efficiently, and obviously, there's a bonus for the staffing company to be able to find that person. But
Right.
that's what I like about, Job Connection Services in itself, being able to be a customizable agency where it's not just because a lot of when you think of staffing agency, you hear the term. And excuse me one
There
moment.
goes your light.
Yeah, let me
There goes.
let me get that
Yeah. All
right.
right. He's gonna turn
Uh,
on his light. That's all right. I guess you
I
may.
I
That's all right.
apologize. I'm
That's okay.
outside of
There you go.
my
Oh, it's
quiet
fun
place,
that way.
but um, you hear staffing agency, and the word that comes to mind a lot. Oh, you're a temp agency, and they
Right.
think, oh,
Yeah.
you just provide temp employees, or no,
I don't
it's a
like that
lot.
word. I don't like
I
that
hate it.
word.
It makes me
I
cringe, David. I do
I know.
not like that word either, because
It
I
just.
see we're a lot more than that, because it's not just here. If
Yeah.
people are looking for temporary work for projects, obviously you were able to provide
Right.
that, but it's temp to perm. Maybe you want project based employees, or temp to perm, or just direct hire in itself.
Mm.
Being able to provide that. And there are companies that just look for direct hires. They're just
Yeah.
looking to find people that are looking for longevity. And
And that's what I liked about it was, I mean, direct hires, it's like an average of 10% to say 20%, and depends actually really, as like you said, when you climb that ladder, those percentages are gonna get a little bit higher, and I know it sounds expensive sometimes. It really does, when you say 10%, but let's just say an example, $40,000 a year,
yep,
10%, there's $4,000. Okay, so when a staffing company puts that out there, you know, you most staffing companies like yourself, you have a lot of great database because my prior jobs prior to this one, I've always, if I was to lose my job tomorrow, Mike, I would be right over there with you. I would be right over with all. I do my research on all the top staffing companies. Go to them, fill out an application, give them your resume, and explain to them that's what you want. This is what I want. So if you ever get a call. So then on a Sunday night, when I had one job that lasted for 10 years, that's how I got my job from that staffing company. Because like you said, it's a skill set. Apply at a staffing company, whatever type of skill you have, because
yep.
it just takes you that one call that they're going to say, hey, we need a performance manager, or we need a IT or anything medical. You're going to have that candidate.
And even in situations like, been a lot of situations before where I just came across a really good resume,
Yeah.
and there are a lot of industries, that we mainly work with, but there's also those other odd end jobs like direct
Right.
hires for a higher position that we also deal with. And I've came across really, really high level resumes and just pushed it off to different clientele that we work
So
with.
you
And
get them all, right? You vet them all. You go right through
I
everything. Yeah.
listen, I mean, for my offices that I manage, I honestly, for everybody coming to look for a job, I tell them, in order for me to help you best, Give me a resume. Give me
Right.
something, even if it's something I help, and I taught my recruiters. I make them be able to help these a lot of people looking for work. If they're not in the best position, let's help put them in a better position. If they
Right.
have resumes that are incomplete or lack some job history, hey, here's an application. Give me your last three, positions, title that you've done, some of the things you've done. I'll help edit for you. I'll help build this resume up for you. As long as you're in the best position to be able to apply for a job, then I'm
Right.
doing my justice for you. So,
And I'm sure that you only send, I mean, with direct hires, you really want to have a solid name because you don't want to just, I've seen other companies, they'll send somebody that's not as you're like, you know what? Direct hires, you really know what you're doing there because you want to send the best that you got because people don't realize with direct hires, with the staffing companies, sometimes you have to guarantee them for say 3 months, or if they leave or if they get let go, then you have to fill that vacancy. So that's why I'm sure it's so important to make sure that you vet these employees.
and you have to,
Yep.
if and I'm sorry about that. I'm trying
That's
to.
okay. We'll get it. That's what's
There it
called
is.
being live. When you're live, everything goes.
There it is. But you have to vet these
Right.
employees. A lot of people will come in saying, "Hey, I have this experience, this experience, this experience. I've done this before." Okay, well, where have you done that before? Where are the companies that you've done that? How can we, have any type of proof, or because that's what companies are looking for. They're looking for
Right.
security in the people that are coming into work. Because one thing that comes to mind is training and development, right? it
Right.
takes
Yep.
it takes time to train people. It takes time to develop them to do it. It could be the simplest of tasks, but I want you to do this simple task in this certain way because this is the way that
The
we
way it's
feel
done.
provides the most efficiency. Exactly. So it'll take time to make sure people are trained and practiced into doing these tasks in the way that we want. So, in order to be able to make sure we're providing that match,
Right.
we need to vet these people out. We need to see what your history is, or do you
Now, will
really
you
have.
you'll do small companies too, right?
Oh, it's
They're
not just big warehouses we work with. We work with small companies. I've worked with a auction gallery actually out in the Emmaus area, helping them find somebody to help load and unload and
right.
set up for auction gallery shows. So it's
So you
just a
gotta
big
really you
range.
educate. I'm sure you gotta educate the customer, especially the smaller companies too. I
Oh,
think once you educate them a little bit of the cost savings, because I
yep.
don't think it's utilized enough in the smaller businesses, because the costs when if you talk to the customer about that, the job boards, the cost of the productivity that's not being done, that is really
It's
where you can help.
And that's the thing, and sometimes and that goes back to my point before of temp agency and the bad
Right.
connotations sometimes that goes to it. But smaller businesses, they think of they're more cost wary. That they have a lot more to take into effect, and
Right.
they think that it's a huge cost on their part. But ultimately, sometimes it just takes one employee or two employees
Right.
to help move your business in the right way. And
Right.
with a company like ours, and I know a lot of the staffing terms, sometimes, might be confusing or, not as common to other businesses than others. And that's why I break it down, when I talk of bill rate. Bill rate is just
Yeah.
simply, the cost that goes into, like you mentioned, the safety aspect.
Yeah.
Anything
Big
were to
time.
happen, we're taking the fall for that.
Right.
We're gonna cover the cost for that. Comes to the actual sourcing, finding somebody that's qualified for what you're looking for. There's a couple factors that go into that, and
Right.
being able to negotiate that and being able to just lay it all out in the line. And that's what I'm an honest guy, David. That's how I like to do business. And when I talk to people, it's like, what were you looking to pay overall? Because
Right.
I could give you all these terms and give you all these different rates, but I'll explain. This is going to be the cost to find this person, and we could customize when you think of hours to hire, right?
Right.
Companies think of that too, right? And some companies may have a standard for every company we work with. We're able to negotiate that. There's an average on what we do, but
That's
if some
awesome.
companies need some employees to come on board sooner because they're just looking to push for longevity. Maybe it's for growth reasons, whatever the case may be. We
Right,
understand every company has different needs. So, we're able to adjust to that. And, even for smaller companies, say, hey, we're just looking for one or two people and we're looking to hire
right.
them long term. All right.
Well, the benefits, the next one, when we say about the direct hires, that's like when we say the temporary to perm. You know, the temporary to perm. Got it? There we go. This
Yep,
is the great thing
sorry.
about being live.
I love it.
There you go. There you go. The temp to perm is a great option for, like, when you have people going out, say, maternity leave, say a sickness, an illness, medical leave. You can step right up into that field for that and show them the savings on that, I'm sure.
Oh, I mean, we've just dealt with a direct hire actually out of the Arizona location, a warehouse looking for a higher rated position, and we're just pushing our network to, see how can we help this company out? How can
Right,
we find them a person? And we're able to do that. And it's just being able to, like I mentioned before, connect the dots, and
right.
being not being able to be firm on, I only want temp to perm. I'm only going to provide temp to perm employees. That's
Yeah,
able to provide a
it's
wide.
nice to be diversified like that.
You have to be, David. I
Yeah,
feel I feel 2024, I mean, and just the way that staffing is now is completely different than maybe what it was 10 years ago. You have to be able to adjust.
do you see on the candidates on your side, do you see, when you tell them, hey, listen, this is a temp to perm position, does that does it take a special candidate for that? You know what I mean? Like, I guess maybe to get into bigger companies, some of these bigger companies will do that because they want to test this person out, and I get that. But I wasn't sure. Sometimes when you tell a candidate, well, it's temp to perm, oh boy, they
Yep.
sometimes they might shy away, but I think that's the job of yourself and the recruiters. It's to sell that
And
and why.
I think it's very important, I believe, to set them up with the proper expectations as well
Right,
of what the assignment is. Because there are times, hey, we're looking for a person for 4 to 8 weeks. I'll tell them, hey, listen, it's 4 to 8 weeks. It might be a good opportunity to be able to build yourself up, prove that you
right.
can do an assignment for long term, and set yourself up for another opportunity or just have more experience. I'm always encouraging employees, any way you can provide more experience for yourself, make yourself more of an asset. That's what's going to help you out in the long run. And
Yeah,
um, with temp to perm, and when they hear that and they might shy away, I explain it as a way. It's long-term opportunity. If you have a family that you're looking to provide for, think of
right.
benefits. Think of
Yep.
think of your savings for your children. What is going to be more important, when you go to the hospital, something, bills add up, and these costs anymore, I
Yeah.
mean, everybody can see it's a rising costs all over the board, and you have to be able to think of that. And that's exactly how I put it on the table for a lot of the employees I have, because there are some employees that, I might be, I'm just, hey, Mike, I'm just looking for something part-time, or,
Something
I'm
part-time.
looking for, you know, just temporary. Understand that. Give me a resume. I have different files for different people, different classifications, what they're looking
Right.
for, what experience they have, and you have to be able to navigate in that way.
Navigating. That's what I like about like you said, because some companies do want, I guess when you say temp to perm, they do want temp to perm. They'll give you a time limit saying, we want this person hired within there versus a long-term assignment, where you possibly could get hired, but that doesn't mean you're going to. And I think as long as you're honest with the candidate, I don't think you'll have any problems with it. That's the way I look at that.
And I feel the exact same way. That's why I said it before. I'm truly honest. Hey, I have some company just likes using staffing companies, under their payroll, and just to
Right.
be able to absorb that risk. And I'll be honest with some of these employees that when those opportunities come about, like, hey, it might be a attempt to perm, but he likes to keep people on board, under with
Yeah.
us, just so you're aware of that.
I think the next one is your favorite, and mine is high volume. High volume, and I'm sure you can handle that too. I mean, I saw that you do manufacturing too. You'll look at
Uh,
manufacturing.
we what we do is we're a 3PL distributor. So Job Connection Services Inc. is our staffing
Okay,
um, industry, or our staffing entity, and then
right.
we have JCS Global, which is our 3PL distribution company, who work with our private partners
Right.
and handle all their distribution for them, and that's based out of
Right.
New Jersey. And we also
That's
have
awesome.
um,
For when you do that, because I can imagine
yep.
there is a cost for different industries because when you're looking at a lot of people don't realize it's that workers' comp. And
Oh,
that can I don't care where you go, you gotta
um,
have safety. It's about money, but it's also keeping people safe too. You
yep.
don't want nobody going out there because everybody has P&Ls, and you cannot absorb injuries. That's why you need to prevent them. You need to put training into it, and I think that you would sell that to a company saying, "Listen, I mean, we assume it, but they gotta teach it too." At the site too, because they're when you send candidates to them, they have to be provided all the training as well.
Exactly. And that's something that some of our companies look for as well, when it comes to training and development, or terms of the interview process. They're not looking for time to come and train and develop. A lot of companies might have high demand right now, and they need
Right.
people with this type of experience. I do have a company I work with. They won't train you. They look for somebody with experience. When you
With
come to that
experience.
interview, be prepared to
And
do this job, because they're going to see if you actually know what you're doing. So, very
oh,
honest with these candidates as well. Like, be prepared to be able to perform the task that you say you know how you're doing.
how you're doing, yeah, because that's the only thing about it when they call for a temporary for a staffing agency. I'm not going to say temporary. I just again that word. I used to have so many people say, "Oh, they're just temps," and I would be like, "No, they're not. They have a job. They have a
Yep.
company. They work for let's just say JCS. Hey, that's your employer." That's what I would tell them. I'd say, "No, you work for JCS. I'm not a
Yep.
temporary person. They're your employer. They're the ones that payroll you. They're the ones that provide it. And help. Majority of them will provide health insurance to the base, to get you through for health insurance. And you work for them, not for them. But that word temp still drives me nuts.
And me too. Me too.
And I just think that's the thing because I've been in staffing for a while and it gets used by different. But I really think that, and I'm sure you're going to agree that when you walk into a company, you want to feel comfortable too. That doesn't mean you're going to accept them.
Oh,
You know,
100%.
they're going to meet your needs and theirs. So you got to look at the culture, I'm sure.
You have to. You have to. And that's why I love to. And when I took over the offices, of Allentown and Slatington,
Right.
I made it a point to let me meet with a lot of our clientele. Let me see the type of work that they're doing. What type of employees do they have there in place already? You have to think of culture and what's going to fit, what's not going to fit. Because if the match isn't there, I'm doing an injustice not only to the client, but also
Right.
to the employee that we're placing there.
So walk me through, Mike, to where I'm the customer. What's the process to have them to get you aboard with JCS? Like, what do? You come out, you do your sales, you talk with them, and then how do you work all that?
Yeah, so I mean, if it's me doing a lot of the outreach, I might make a call to the HR manager, or to the person in charge of handling a lot of the hiring process, just to let me set some time. I love to understand, and I apologize for this, but I
That's all
love.
right. I love live shows. It's awesome. There
I
you
do
go.
it inside, but I have a 1-year-old child and a 9-year-old child, so my house is quite loud.
Yeah, it'll be a little
But
loud, right?
100%. But
Yeah,
really, just to understand the hiring process of that company, what are you looking for? What type of employees do you typically look for? Um, Even if it doesn't end up with me being able to service your business, I'd love to be able
right,
to hear more about what you guys do. What are you having struggles to find right now? And when they ask about, the most important question, and everybody hates talking about, is
yeah,
price, cost.
yep.
It's
What it
really
comes down
about
to.
exactly, and it's just really about, what type of pay rate, and obviously ideas and I like to say data that goes with it, pay
All right.
rates in certain regions for certain companies for this type of pay, and a lot of companies will mirror certain other companies, but it really depends on area, and what that type of job requires. Because as we mentioned before, workers' comp,
Yes.
there's a lot of risk
Why?
that's involved, not only with sourcing and just being able to find that employee, but being able to handle and process that payroll of that employee. So
Right.
everything goes into effect, but we're willing to negotiate, and that's what I always
Yeah.
say. We're a customizable agency with what you're looking for, whether it's direct to hire, whether it's a temp assignment, or whether it's temp to perm. You know, we can help find you what you're looking for. And in terms of cost, what are you looking at in terms of either paying that employee, or what are you looking at as a
That's
overall?
got to be a big thing. Yeah. Because the same thing is like when you look at the pay rate, I get it. I really do. I understand it comes down to cost, you know, and I want to give an example like we had talked before. Let's just assume $10 an hour at lower pay, but $10 an hour, 40% markup, that's $4, say $14 an hour bill rate.
Yep.
So when you add that all up, versus paying somebody full time when you don't need them that long, you know what I mean? That's where those savings comes in. But a lot of people need to understand with a staffing company, that's where all their burden, then it comes their burden costs, because it
Exactly.
costs money to run those branches. It costs money to job boards. It costs money for recruiters. So it's not always, I always hear sometimes, well, that's a high price. Nah, not really. Not when I
And
think you need to educate, be honest with the customer, educate them, and just work with them and explain it and break it down. I think that's your best bet sometimes.
100%, David, you hit it right on the nail. Because
Yeah.
a lot of it is it's longevity. You think of
Yeah.
it's not only training and development,
Yep.
but you think of the risk that goes with hiring
Yeah.
that employee and adding them under coverage and health benefits and what you have to pay that for that employee. Under a staffing agency, not only are we able to not absorb that risk, but in a
Right.
way, you also avoid high turnover, right? And
Yes. Yep.
that's something that companies look into as well. Do we want high turnover? Do we want a low turnover? What kind of culture do we want to create? And
Right.
with the staffing agency, you kind of get that trial basis. Like, what kind of employee are they? After 3, 4 months, you kind of get a good idea of their
So
regular
that,
habits. Exactly.
especially peak season coming up, boy, it's going to get crazy in the
Everything.
Allentown area. It'll be busy for the next month and a half, 2 months.
My office is busy every day. Every day.
Do you have a lot in the Lehigh Valley? I mean, I still see this is where I'm sure you have to educate the customer too about market trends, unemployment, how many you can actually sometimes, as long as you're using, all your tools between all your job boards, they'll provide a lot of information to you, insights, where it should be, where your pay rate should be, median, over. So it comes down. I like how you said that. What do you want? Which direction? Do you just want, like in the peak season, do you just want bodies? Do you
Yep.
want people that are qualified? You know what I mean? So exactly, what do you want? It's going to come down to it.
And I think that's the most important question, because you can't just assume in this
Right.
industry either.
Yep.
Because there may be some companies, hey Mike, I'm just looking for bodies. I need to either fill up this production line, or I just need hands on deck at all times. But
Yep.
there's also those other companies like Mike, care a lot about the culture that's here, a lot about, there's some companies that have had employees over 20 years employed there,
Wow.
so it
Yeah.
matters to them, about the type of quality of this employee. So it's very honest conversations that need to be had, because I want to be able to do you the best justice as possible.
Right.
And in order for me to do that, I need to know exactly, what you want. Whether it's not only type of employee, type of experience that you need, are you looking for this certain pay rate? Because,
Right.
there is data that goes into those insights, and what an average pay rate may go into for certain positions. But if you're looking
For that.
for lower pay rate, just expect it. and I hate to say it, but expect a higher turnover.
Right.
Sometimes, in terms of lower rates, it all depends. Situations are different for everybody. That's why I give everybody honest conversations that do come into my office, whether it's somebody looking for temp employees or somebody just looking for work. Um,
What do you hear, Mike, on, like, companies that you go to, or if they reach out even at JCS, is what do you hear their pain points are? Like, what is it always just we're short-staffed, or there's gotta be more a little bit more to that too, right? Is it I mean, there's gotta be reasonings behind it, like high volume, we get that. That's gonna be high volume is high volume. I mean,
exactly.
there's nothing it's so hard, I don't care. I've been doing that's why I don't have any hair. I think the high volume, like, I really you're either in it for high volume or you're not, because you really gotta have a hard stomach, everything, boy, because you gotta have that adrenaline going, what you need for high volume, or you'll or else as a recruiter, you won't make it. You'll be, whoo,
Oh,
it'll eat you right up, you know?
I mean, you have to be able to pull from different sources. High
Yeah.
volume, it's all hands on deck, and in this industry sometimes it is 24/7.
Right,
There's a lot waking up from your sleep 3 a.m., some new email, some new text, something that's happened. You have to be able to be adjustable, always kind of try to be available in every way. But
how do you reach out to all your, like, Mike, if, you pick up a new company, and how do you reach out to your employees that are working? Like, I mean, you put them there. What do you do to make sure, you know?
well, David, I'll say this because not everybody's the same. I'm a very
Right,
different person. I'm the type of person that's just I'm very communicative. Communicative. I have
right,
to be open, for different options. So I'm not. I'm one of those. I'll give my direct cell phone out and I'll shoot a text. If you're having issues, don't be scared to
right,
shoot me a text and let me know what's going on. I understand life happens. Or if it's different companies, hey, we have another job order just came about and I need 50 people and maybe it came at night and you need to shoot me a text. That's
right.
fine. I'd rather be able for you to have that direct line of communication with me.
With
That way
you
I can service
and
you
the
as best as
recruiters.
possible. Even for our employees that we put to work, a lot of this, you think of technology, right? If I'm sending somebody to a different warehouse, a lot of
Right.
warehouses in different areas, I
Yep.
have to, and I have to
I love it.
be
You're
able.
the first person that the lights go out. I love it. No, I
Hey,
love it.
it's because it's time censored. When my father set it up, he set it up like that. But
I
you
love
have
it.
to be able to. I send texts out for warehouses so they understand and they could pull it right up on their GPS. That way there are no issues. And
Right,
sending even I have warehouses in like Walnut Port area since I do work for or I service our Slatington office.
right,
There are some warehouses that have multiple addresses. There's a town. There's a community as well that some share same addresses. So I send pictures. Hey,
right,
this is going to be around this area. There's a business across the street. So if I'm able to text you and you could text me that way, even in call offs, hey Mike, I'm not feeling well. All right, awesome. I could let the company know super early. That
right,
way it's not just a company phone or you have to call the office just to be able to get a hold of me or send me an email. You could just have my direct line. And for recruiters, I mean, we utilize different methods. Like WhatsApp is a big one that we use
yeah.
because
What's
we
up?
do
Yeah.
have a bilingual market of
Yep.
employees that we deal with as well, and that's huge in some of those markets as well. So we utilize that way they could have a separate number from the personal number, and
That's
everybody is
perfect.
able to feel secure.
Now, I wanted to ask you too, Mike. I forgot when you're going through the process. We talked about you met with the customer. You find out their needs. You need to tour the facility as well, right? The
Oh,
job site. That's
that's
always
that's the
non-negotiable. That is something you have to do
non-negotiable.
because
I
yeah,
mean, I loved it, and that's a part of me learning your process.
yeah,
Show me what you guys do here, whether it's you manufacture pallets or you manufacture fertilizer or you distribute
right,
this. Just show me your process. I love to learn and experience just new instances, new people, new experiences. Right? Well, let me see what you guys do. That way I could service your company
right.
better if I do understand what you guys do. That because there's a lot that goes into even the most simplistic jobs. As you know, David, there may
Yep.
be a certain science to the way. Hey, want it done this way, and the
Right.
scanners to be scanned in this certain direction, and the labels to be put right here, because there's always a method to the madness, right?
It is, and you're really just protecting your employee plus the customer.
Exactly,
That's
exactly.
what it comes down to. You're making sure that everything's
You have to.
I don't want people I wouldn't want people to think that they need to do a tour because, "Oh, we don't wanna show our process." No, there's safety guidelines, just like you said. You gotta go out, you gotta see it because I think as a sales rep too, if you see things being done unsafe in a company, then sometimes it's not a match, and that's okay. We might not be like I might not be a match for your company because
Right.
we cannot do this, and this is why. Like the safety, all the stuff with safety is that's non-negotiable, I think, anywhere. And I think they'll agree with that too. Nobody,
Safety's
nobody wants to see somebody get hurt.
100%. And safety is the biggest thing. Workers' comp is one of the most important factors
Yep.
that goes into the whole business. And it's not right. And there's a lot of companies. Hey, we want to protect our process. We don't want
Right.
that to be seen.
Right.
That's completely understandable. But
Yeah.
in order, just for not only me to be able to service your company as best as possible, but for
Right.
me to set the employee up to understand, hey, this is the risk involved with either this type of job, or as you mentioned, maybe there's too much risk. And hey,
Yeah.
I understand, that this is what you guys do, but unfortunately, we're just
We
not
can't
able
do it.
to service this, and it wouldn't be justice to you as well.
Right.
So, um,
We have someone here from overseas. Let's say Assad. Let's say Assad says, I'm currently international student, a master in logistics and supply chain management in Glasgow. And what have you see there, the opportunity, and what should I must follow? Well, Assad, I don't know, international. I mean, that's something that I wouldn't my profession isn't on like that, for what you're doing in your country there. But that's something where this brings up a good point here, is the stamping companies assume all the same thing, the E-Verify, the I-9s. You're doing everything for, say, people like Assad that comes over and gets sponsorships.
oh,
You gotta make sure that you're covering everything too, and that's what's great that companies know that too, because you're not just sending an employee that's, not E-Verified or something like that. You can't.
it's all the risks are taken into
Yes.
place. We
Right.
run background checks, drug
Yep.
tests when they come into the office and
And you'll run
apply.
what they want, right? You'll run what they
I
want.
I
Yeah.
run exactly. We have companies that want drug tests ran through, whether it's a St. Luke's or
Right.
Lehigh Valley Medical. Whatever provider they would prefer. We set up consultations with, whether it's their HR coordinators or whoever may handle that process. To be able to
Right.
set that up so we could send employees, hey, and whatever billing costs go into that. There's negotiations that are set up to, and there are times where we'll handle that cost, you know what I
Right.
mean, when it comes into the sourcing that employee, because we understand it's
Yep.
long term. And that's part of the reason some companies may be looking for staffing agencies, is to absorb those certain costs. So
'Cause that's a lot of cost. That's not for small business especially, and that's what I wanna really hit on is, small business need to reach out to you. They need to reach out to you in Allentown, and, it doesn't have to be a company with 25, 50, 500 people. You can do it with 5 people. It doesn't matter. Whatever your needs are, I think that first initial visit is the most important.
100%, David. I mean, we work with all range sizes of businesses, job connection services. And as I mentioned this before in
Yep.
previous conversations, we started out with one guy out of his car filling out applications for people, going to different businesses, meeting with them, just
Yep.
trying to grow and service different companies best as possible.
For them.
And that's why, we are a customizable business in terms of, how we work, in terms
Right.
of being able to service different sizes, different types, different industries. So there, we understand that life happens. We understand that industries are all different, and
Right.
you have to take all matters into perspective.
No, I want to thank so much. Well, 40 minutes. I figured that went quick. Did I just
That
see? I
went
didn't even.
super
I
quick.
killed. This
It
is like
didn't feel like
subjects that
40
we didn't even
minutes.
start. I'm like, I spend all day today trying to think, but I like to have you back on because I want to talk about maybe we can think about ways to help people search for new ways, to give some advice how to find new jobs. And I think that's really good to help out with people. So again, Mike, why don't you just tell me what you do? I think you froze up again. Did we freeze? You're smiling. I'm waiting for him to come back. This is always the best thing about live. All right. Looks like he is frozen, and I'm gonna give it about another couple seconds here. But like I said, we'll have him back on the show. And we're gonna have a show on trying to find new techniques to find work and find employment. And I think that'll be really good. So if you want, connect with Mike, and I think you're gonna do really good. And I'm gonna meet with him in a second. I will have a good night, everybody, and thanks for watching the show. Now I got to push the button.